Hi, Leah.
Hi, Kamna.
So I tried out this fake lipstick filter from
Just like
Zoom,
me.
just like you. And so we could match our beautiful guest today.
Oh, yes.
Yes, her story is so inspiring. I can't
Wait,
wait.
you're right. She always has beautiful lipstick on. Always,
Always.
always, always.
Thanks, guys.
And people who are listening may not see it, but just know she's a stunner. Dana has with us today, and she has lost 110.2 pounds.
I'm gonna clap right in the
Yay.
microphone.
Thank
Yay.
you.
I wish we had an
We
audience.
we wanted to interview her because she has been so inspirational to us and to the people in our groups. So, Dana, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. I'm happy to be here.
Where
So,
where do you want to start?
I can
Kamna,
tell you
you?
guys a little bit about me, just about
Okay.
okay.
my background. Um, I was actually born in Brooklyn, even though we live in Ohio now. My mom and dad, my father was from England,
I
and
love
my
that.
mom was a New Yorker. So I've told Leah a lot of stories about how kind of crazy my house was with my dad, this really intense British accent, and my mom going, "Oh my God, you guys would die." Always said, "Dana, do not put your makeup on in the car. It's very dangerous while you're driving." But I would always do it.
I could listen to you all
Me
day. Oh my
too. Me
gosh.
too.
And my dad would say, "You're not getting your ears pierced. It's bloody barbaric." So between the two of them, it was a little bit wild and crazy. We moved around a lot. Like I lived in Georgia, I lived in England, we went to New York. We always had a lot of going on. We had a lot of fun. We had a VW camper where my dad just decided one year that we were going to go and take a trip around the entire country in the camper, meeting people, picking up hitchhikers, camping, you name
Wow.
it, we would do it. Yeah, it was kind of wild. So, eating, we would always eat great, but sometimes it would be late at night, sometimes it
Mhm.
would be odd hours. I remember like waking up at a diner at like 2 in the morning that my parents had taken us to. So I just feel like it was a lot of kind of not a natural routine.
Hmm.
Okay.
And like a lot of people, I feel like when life happens and you're stressed or you have disappointment or you have heartbreak, you go to food.
Mhm.
Right.
You
So
go to
let me
food.
back up for a little
Yep,
bit. So you said you were traveling around. Did you have siblings
I did. I have two sisters. So we were all together. We always had animals. We had dogs. We had cats.
in the camper?
We did. We brought Sherman, who was our British bulldog, which we named him after a Sherman tank, which they didn't really appreciate in Georgia because of the
Oh,
history there. But
yeah.
we did. We traveled around.
So it was you when you say there wasn't a normal routine, was it because of the traveling and the odd hours and the odd times of eating?
Partly it was because of that. But even when we were at home and we were in school and things were stable, they were just, I kind of like to call them hippies.
Mhm.
So we'd have company over. My older sister is an amazing singer. So we'd have company at like midnight. I remember them waking us up like Electra's going to sing for everyone. And we would eat. We would have sweets. We would
Mhm.
have amazing meals. My dad was an incredible cook. He loved cooking from different countries. So we had Indian, we had Hungarian, we had Polish, we had everything. And it was rich and it was incredible, but it was also like very off hours.
Mhm.
It was it was very indulgent.
So you're
Yeah.
saying that food was a big part of your social life.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it also sounds like so much fun.
It was a blast.
It sounds like it just was like, oh, someone's waking me up to party. Yeah, let's do it.
Yes. And all my friends, we were the house that everyone wanted to come over.
That's so
Hmm.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was fun. But like I said, as life happens, you kind of use food sometimes as coping, whether it was, like I said, disappointment or not getting something you wanted or not doing as well as you wanted.
Mm.
Um, I was also kind of a sensitive kid, which is like I can really relate to Kamna's story sometimes because, I would get hurt and I would be upset. And I think sometimes I would look to food But, you know, I remember being heavy and struggling with my weight, like since junior high.
Hmm.
So I was always, you know, I was outgoing and I was a smiley person, but inside, you know, it could be hard. It could be uncomfortable when you're heavier than other people and you look to them and you feel like you don't fit in or you don't fit a certain mold. It, you know, it's hard. Takes a
So,
toll
and
on.
When do you,
and I know you don't have to answer this, but did your mom and dad or your sisters or anybody in your family also struggle with weight issues?
Absolutely. My
Okay.
dad went up and down. He was really heavy, but you know, he was very active. He played tennis, he did table tennis. He was an incredible, you know, at chess. He would go and play these chess matches. He was really smart. I remember in high school going to Weight Watchers with my mom and joining with her.
Me too.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
When
So
was
even
the first time that you really felt like you were overweight, or I don't know what the right word is?
in high school,
Oh, in
you
high
know,
school. Okay.
even starting junior high, really,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was heavier. I would try to get it off, but I had trouble, you know, doing that and sticking to something because you're young and you're just like enjoying life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Yeah.
remember that feeling, like when it was? Was there
Absolutely. I
a
mean, you
moment?
see people, you know, I was never like the sports person,
Mhm.
but you know, you have friends that are, you know, that do sports and they're very active and you have a sports uniform and you feel like I'm different, you know, like I don't
Yeah.
fit that mold. I did a lot of extracurricular, but you know, it was like the French club, it was mock trial.
Hmm.
I was the editor of the newspaper. So I did a lot. It just wasn't anything in that physical capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I kind of didn't fit that mold. You know how you guys did a whole show on labels.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I was definitely not the sports person. I was probably like the dorky nerd, you
Mm-hmm.
know, doing my thing.
Do
And,
you
you know,
think
it
that,
goes,
I'm sorry,
no, go ahead.
do you think that limited you from doing other things?
Absolutely. Because I feel like certain things that I might have been great at or even capable of, I'm like, oh, I can't do that. Like I'm in this label, I'm in this role,
Mm-hmm.
as we sometimes do, all of us.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
So,
been a
So
constant
you went
struggle.
to Weight Watchers with your mom,
Hmm.
and then,
I would lose a little bit and then I would go back up. And then, you know, life would happen or this would happen or you'd take a big blow and I would get away from it and I wouldn't focus on it. So I felt like, you know, it just wasn't the top of my attention all the time.
mhm,
hmm wait, are we getting echoey?
yeah,
What do you think what is it, do you think?
I'm gonna
Me?
pause for a second. So you were saying that you went to Weight Watchers meetings with your mom?
Yes. And
What was that like for you?
go. Well, it was, I was kind of happy that we were doing it together.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But, you know, I knew so many people in school that they didn't need that. I mean, they were just kind of living their lives and not having to focus on weight. So it definitely was not a fun thing, but at least I was in it with my mom and she was supportive and encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you remember it being like in a church? Was it
Yes,
like, yes, my first
the
memory is
old
too the
ones.
same thing. Yes.
In the church, there's a big open room where the scale was. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh God, who's going to see it? Like,
I
who's
know.
going to see my weight? And there were those old fashioned scales, you know, with the bars,
Mm.
Oh yeah.
like at the
I
doctor's office.
and people weren't nice to me because I was young. I
No,
don't know what it was. They weren't nice when I went.
not at all.
Leah, how old were you?
The first time I remember going, I think I was 21 or 22.
Wow.
And I just remember like nobody was nice.
Yeah. And
Nobody.
it's a little scary and overwhelming, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It was not a comfortable situation. And I
No.
remember thinking then, like, geez. But I remember even before that, I remember my mom making like diet food and we weren't allowed to eat it because it was just her diet food.
Yeah.
Like, so I always have a visual in my head of weight loss of some sort.
Yes.
Is
And it can
Dana,
be daunting.
did you
Yeah.
experience that too?
Definitely. I mean, we didn't really have weight food because we just kind of ate a lot of good food. You know, I would
Okay.
try to watch it and I would try to lose weight, but I wasn't really successful back then. As I got
Hmm.
older, you know, I was, but I feel like I would just go up and down my whole life, like trying every diet. You name the diet, I've tried it. And I lost a little bit and then I would gain it back and then life would happen
Mhm.
and I would gain it back. And that's something I feel like I've really gained from my years on this planet is it really is never a good time.
What
You're
is,
always going to have stuff.
yeah.
Good freaking point. Like, I think that that is, I can't tell you how many people are like, well, as soon as I'm finished this
Yes.
move, if I'm moving
Yes.
houses, I'm going to come, or as soon as I start this
Yes.
new job, or you're
Mhm.
right.
Kids, stress, health, people's health, parents aging,
Mhm.
crisis at work, deadlines.
Mhm.
I feel like we're always going to have stuff and it's never really a great time to do it. But I feel like you have to do it for you. Like you have to make the time, you have to make yourself a priority
Mhm.
Absolutely.
because
Well,
it's
yeah.
never going to be the perfect time ever.
What do you think was the weirdest diet you did?
Oh, good question.
I did those juices for a while, you know, grapefruit, which I don't even like grapefruit. And I
Ah,
tried those. And I'd have to
The,
put so much sugar on it just to
I
be able to
know
just to be
the
able to bear the
grapefruit
grape.
diet.
Yeah, remember that one?
yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, completely
And
do.
then the
Yes.
smoothies, I tried the smoothies.
Mhm.
Um, there was the South Beach. There was, you know, there was Atkins. I did that for a while. But I feel like, and you guys talked about this on a podcast, you can take things from every diet and say, oh, that's something good that I can take with me and use as a
Mhm.
tool, pieces
Mhm.
and parts. And that's what I kind of feel like I do now.
You do the
Hmm.
Dana plan.
Yes.
I mean, really, you did that. You took pieces of what's working, what didn't work at certain plans, and you have been successful
Yeah.
really doing your plan in quotes,
Thank
right?
you. I feel like it's like cracking a code. Like you
Oh,
have to crack the code of what works for you. And
Absolutely.
the code can change, but finding that perfect equation of what's going to work for your body, your allergies, your stomach, your movement, your lifestyle, really, it's like cracking a code. And this last year, I feel like I cracked it. You know, 110
so
pounds. I'm like doing it.
Before
in a year.
Yeah,
before we get there, I have a couple of questions about what you've done. So, was there a point where you were confused about what to do?
absolutely.
So, what did you do in those moments?
Besides cry, no, I'm just
Mhm.
kidding.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
just kidding.
yeah,
It can be
Yeah.
frustrating, right? It can be frustrating.
of
Yeah.
Um,
course.
you know, I would do something and I would go really hardcore with it, and then it wouldn't work, and I would just feel so defeated and
Mhm.
Mm,
discouraged. And then I was like, it's out the window. Everything's fair game. And for me personally, like sugar and carbs are just they kill me. They
Mhm.
kind of kill me. And I really felt like I was addicted to sugar because when it didn't work, I would rely even more heavy on those foods because they were comforting and I loved them.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
then I feel
That's a
like I
good
got
point.
addicted to them.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
I gained weight and I went up and up and up. And it was like harder to even get back down to where I was before I failed at a diet.
Mhm. So you
That's,
feel like you would
yeah.
like limit or give up the sugar and then not be successful and then go back to it hard, even hard, more hardcore.
Yes.
Because you felt
Ah,
deprived.
yeah,
Mhm.
probably. Or
Yeah.
you wanted that comfort of I wasn't successful at this, so I need this comfort or yeah, I think I relate to that. I'm sure other
Oh,
people do.
yeah. It's very relatable.
Hmm.
So,
Wow.
when you started, I think it was November of 22, right?
Mhm. Yes.
I don't know why that stuck in my brain, but you made a decision, something's got to change. What was that moment like for you?
Well, you know, before the pandemic, I was on Weight Watchers and I would see Leah and I had lost 60 and I was really doing well.
Hmm.
And the pandemic happened. In the beginning, I was like, oh, I'm going to do well and stick with it. And then it just all went out the window.
Mm,
Like,
Hmm.
you know, life happens, things with my parents, health, stressors at work. But I was getting ready to go visit my daughter. and I was going to see her in December in London, where she lives. And I was really excited about it. And we were planning on going to see The Cure, which I love. Everybody knows that I love The Cure. And Leah, on our meeting was like, it's November. We still have 2 months left in the year. The year is not over. You guys can turn this around. You still have a chance. And I remember that feeling of being stressed and anxious, just about getting on the plane and flying overseas because, for a person that's heavy, it can be really traumatic.
Mhm.
You're on top of somebody who's next to you that you don't know. I was flying on my own. My husband wasn't coming. Fitting in the seat, being comfortable, all those things. And I'm like, you know what? I got to start. I got to get serious. I got to lose some weight before I get on that plane. So I kind of kicked it into gear, listened to what Leah said, and I'm like, I'm going to do this. So that was November of 22. And by the time I went to England in December, I was so happy because I was about 20, 25 pounds down.
What?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Just
I
in a
had
matter
remember,
of
yeah,
great.
of
so
2 months.
2 months or 6 weeks or whatever it was, you were down
Yes.
that much. What
I
was the
still
biggest
felt
thing you?
self-conscious there because I feel like in Europe, people are a lot thinner, it feels like, and
Oh,
they're not as open and accepting as this country, in my opinion.
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
And you feel the difference because
Mhm.
even the accommodations that we have in the United States, in Europe, they don't have a lot of them.
Mm. It's
So are
interesting.
you saying that you didn't see a lot of, I want to make sure I'm understanding you, a lot of overweight people there, or they just are
Not as
judgmental?
many. It's a lot less than here.
Okay. Wow.
It's a good
I,
observation, though.
yeah.
I think you don't notice it unless you're in that position.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm wondering. Like,
Yeah.
it's probably one of those things where it's got a name, but like, when you're pregnant, everybody in the world is pregnant.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like one of those
Yes.
things, so
I'm
I
sure there's actually really good scientific reasons why that is true because the food quality in the US is very poor compared to the European countries, and they walk so much more than we do.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That's all we did. In her apartment, we walked every day. I mean, I had such a good time. I was exhausted because we walked everywhere. Nobody has cars in a big city.
Mhm.
And, I remember being so happy because that week and a half that I went to visit her, I came home and I had lost 10 pounds.
Wow.
Oh my God, I was gonna ask, how did you get right back on after that trip? But you were on. You didn't
I was
even.
on because even though I splurged a little on the most amazing fish and chips, in London, you have
Yeah.
to. We walked everywhere. And then at the concert, I danced. It was The Cure. It was great. Um, and it was just a blast.
Were you an exerciser at that point?
A little bit, but not a lot. I feel like I would get caught up sometimes in the stress of work. I would work through my lunch. And we started working remote during the pandemic. So I felt like that made it harder.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like a workaholic. And finally, after November, and I'm like, you know what? I don't care what's happening. I don't care what crisis is going on. I'm going to take my lunch. We get a paid lunch. I'm going to get on the treadmill or I'm going to go to the park. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to stop and eat breakfast and eat what I need for my body. So I feel like it was such a mind shift
Mm.
So when
from
you
putting
first
everything
started,
else first. Yeah.
Yeah.
sorry, I just
No,
have
go
so many
ahead.
questions. I'm like
Yeah.
talking all over you.
No,
When you
please.
first started, what was some of the things you did first that were really manageable for you?
Well, we always talk about this in our meetings, and I really feel like you have to meet yourself where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that, even if that's 5 minutes, like I tell myself, I can do anything for 5 minutes. I wasn't exercising a lot. I wasn't moving a lot. I'm like, if I can walk for 5 minutes and time myself, get that in there, and it's a starting point, no matter what it is, no matter where you are. If it's
Absolutely.
1 minute of something,
And can I ask you, food wise, you were tracking your food
yes,
since that religiously?
I was every
Okay.
day. I don't do
Mhm.
it now.
You don't? Oh, I didn't know that. Did you track without judgment on
Absolutely.
yourself? Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Because I
I
think
mean,
that's important, don't you?
but you know, it
Yes.
was crazy because I did a lot of scanning when I was on Weight
Okay.
Watchers, and things that I loved, like it just broke my heart. The souffle at Panera, the spinach and artichoke souffle. I was like, what? This is like 28 points. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's not
Mhm.
worth it. That's
Mhm.
not worth all your calories and points in a day for one
Mhm.
thing at breakfast. So things that I loved, I started realizing how bad they were for me.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. You didn't say, like, you weren't looking at it as like, oh my God, that's so many points. I can't have it. You're looking at it as that is really bad for me.
And it's not worth it. And I
Yes.
can make eggs on my own and vegetables and a big, huge filling breakfast at home for way less points than this
Yeah.
tiny little souffle, that I happen to love the taste of, but it's not worth it.
Right.
So when you came back from Europe visiting
Mhm.
your daughter, and you had lost by that point 30 some odd pounds,
Yes.
how did you stay motivated and stay consistent? Because sometimes we lose the weight and then we like peter out and lose our motivation to keep doing it.
Mhm.
How
I
did
thought
you?
this is a great springboard.
Okay.
This is a great point where I've made a dent and I walked and even though it was hard because we walked a lot, I did it and I felt really good afterwards.
Mhm.
So I'm going to keep this going and I'm going to keep putting in the work and I'm going to stay committed because it's working and I'm on a roll. So, and that's where I started to kind of formulate my rules and my things like, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
I can't wait to. So you got to 30 pounds and then went, okay, now I love that you called it a springboard.
Yeah.
Like some people call it a plateau when they hit a moment and you're like, no, this is a springboard. This is like, boom. I think I know what I'm doing. I got it. Now you established a set of rules for yourself.
Yes. And I showed you guys, when I got back from England, I wrote in my journal, I wrote down this year, my goal for 2023 is to lose 100 pounds. Like I'm going to do it. I don't care. I'm going to make myself a priority. I'm worth it. And I have that written down in my journal.
Wow. That's
So
powerful.
I'm
yeah, I
writing
wrote
this
that.
down because you said I'm worth it.
Yeah,
And you said I'm making myself a priority.
exactly.
Wow.
So what were some of your rules in the beginning?
Well, one thing that I always did, and I still do it, and I really am a big proponent on believing in self-fulfilling prophecy. I was a psych major in sociology.
Ah.
So
Hey.
when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to crush it today. I'm going
Mhm.
to crush my eating and I'm going to crush my exercise and I'm going to take care of myself. So just saying that to yourself, just having a mantra in your head, I feel like makes a huge difference.
I think you're right because
Did you go ahead?
if you're looking forward to something like a goal, you walk in that direction. If you're looking towards a big boulder, that's the direction you will
Yeah.
walk. Yeah,
If you
absolutely.
say, I feel lousy and I'm going to fail, you're putting yourself in that headspace, like right off the bat. Like, why do that to yourself?
Absolutely.
So you
Like,
would literally get up
believe
and
in
be like, I'm
yourself.
gonna crush it today.
Yes. Yes. And remember what I used to tell you, Lee, about the scale?
Yeah, you would
What?
you would
I don't know if I can say that on here.
you could I'll say it. You would say, I'm gonna make you my bitch,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Am I
I did.
paraphrasing or exactly that?
Absolutely. I did.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
I mean, maybe I paraphrased a little, but basically that's what you
Yeah.
were saying to it.
That's exactly
And
what
you
I
would
was
tell
saying.
it that.
Yes.
I remember you
And
would
when
say
it
that.
wouldn't move, we would have
Yeah.
some arguments. And I
Mhm.
would actually fight with my son. I'm like, that's it. I'm like, you want to go? We're going to go right now. Like,
Mhm.
we're going to have a fight, you and I. We're going to have a brawl. And guess what? You're going to go down, which is kind of metaphoric because the scale is going to go
Yeah.
down. But I was like, okay, we're not playing. And when it wouldn't move, I'm like, okay, I can fight harder. I can be tougher than you. Like, that's it. I'm not letting you win over me.
Mhm.
I think it's important to point out you did weigh yourself.
I still do every day.
And that didn't you did not let that bother you.
Not at all. It really helps me. I know that some people it's stressful and overwhelming. And once again,
Mhm.
it's a personal choice.
Right.
For me, like because I weigh myself every day, it just gives me a guide. Oh, I'm up 2 pounds today. I got to really put in the work. I got to kick it into second gear and I have to buckle down because I like to get a loss by the end of the week.
Mhm.
So in the beginning, when you were just sort of establishing your rules and your routines,
Mhm.
and your weight would either be stuck or maybe even go up, how would you, like, I know you said you would fight with a scale, but what did that do to you mentally?
You know what? I took it as a challenge because I
Okay.
didn't let it get me discouraged. I didn't let it get me overwhelmed. There's weeks now I go up, I go down, I fluctuate, I
Hmm.
get
Mhm.
stuck, you know? I'm 51 years old, going through womanly changes. Stuff is happening with our bodies I can't control.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
rather than getting upset or overwhelmed or depressed, I'm like, I'm going to stick with it. Like that commitment and work has been another part of my mantra. Like work, 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 be committed, just keep going.
Do you
Wow.
ever get tired of it?
Not really, because I love it because it's such a good
Oh.
feeling. It's such a good feeling. Like when I got on the scale after the holidays and I had lost that 5 pounds, like it's so rewarding, that feeling of like, I did it. So I want to keep going. I want to keep fighting. It's so inspiring and encouraging to see the rewards, to think about like carrying 110 pounds around. I'm like, oh, it's crazy thought.
How do you think
So,
your life has changed from 110 pounds ago?
well, I mean, I had a great life before, but
Mhm.
I love to move. I get stir crazy when I don't.
Mhm.
I love to get out there and exercise. I feel um, a lot less intimidated in certain situations. Going to the movies or being on a plane flight or being at a concert and I love music. I tell you guys all the time. I saw
Mhm.
some amazing concerts this year. Like
And
I saw,
dance at every single one of
I
them.
dance. I don't sit down.
Mhm.
And when I was at Duran Duran and I didn't sit down, and this lady in my row is like, "Oh my God," she said to my husband, "She's really living her best life." But it just feels so good not having that
Yes.
110 pounds. So, I mean, I would dance before, but dancing is easier. It's more fun. I have more stamina. I actually am like, you know what? Let's park far. I want the walk, which I didn't do before.
So I would love to get into some of the specifics about how you are living your daily life now, because I
Mhm.
think that's really, it's going to be important for people to hear. I mean, we know a little bit of it, but I
Wait,
just,
did we miss any of your rules that you have?
Um, Let
Or
me
are they the
see.
same thing as Kamna's asking?
Water,
Because,
water,
okay,
water. I am
okay.
obsessed with water. From the minute I wake up, like you, Leah, I have that glass of water, but also
Mhm.
even walking around my house, like I've had this cup,
Yeah,
different
yep.
cups, but the same
Mhm.
forever. And I
Mhm.
love ice. Like I'm one of those people that has to have ice water.
Mhm.
So I'm always drinking water, no matter what I'm doing, no matter where I'm going. If I'm going to a work meeting, I'm bringing my water cup.
mhm.
And
Mhm.
I do have to get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night a lot, but I don't care
It's a great
because
attitude to have. So many
How do
people
you,
don't like that.
how do you think the water has helped you?
it flushes everything. It makes me feel good. I feel it fills me up. I
Mhm.
used to be a soda drinker. I used to love regular Coke. The week that I stopped drinking regular Coke, I lost about 12 pounds in 1 week.
Oh my
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
not kidding.
God.
Wow.
Because I used to have a big Coke every day. I hate soda now. I don't touch it and I don't
Yeah.
miss it.
Okay, I know some people will want to know,
Yeah.
how did you make that switch?
I just kind of went cold turkey. Some
Okay.
people have to ease their way off of it. That's kind of not how I do things. I'm like, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, also, you know what I feel like? When I was drinking the soda, there was one day where I felt like my heart was like palpitating. Like, when your heart beats really fast
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and you get that feeling. And I was like, this can't be good.
So you listened to your body. You
Yeah.
were listening to what was going on in your body. I feel like maybe at the time you were looking for any sign to tell you to stop doing it.
Yeah, it
And then
was.
that came and you were like, all right, this is it. Like, and I think if we do that in general, if we listen to our body a lot, it'll tell you. Like if you're like, oh, I'm
Definitely.
so bloated or like my
Yeah.
scalp or whatever it is, we are noticing things. We just have to listen to it and
Good
take it as a
point.
sign, you know?
Definitely.
Okay, so
Okay.
no
And then,
soda, water.
yeah, focus on protein.
Okay.
So from a long time ago, I'm like, I have to get at least 80 grams of protein a day.
Hmm. 80
Um,
grams. Okay. Was
yeah.
that hard for you?
It was because I had to keep track and I had to
Mhm.
count. And I would ask my phone, how much protein is in half a pound of shrimp? Things that I didn't realize or count. I
Mhm.
also knew that, I would need a supplement to get that. And I have
Okay.
my hot chocolate protein drinks, which I like, and it's so important.
Wait. Tell us what that is.
Yes. I actually years ago was on physician's weight loss diet.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's just local here in Ohio. They don't have it everywhere.
Oh,
And
I didn't know that.
that you would go in every week, you would weigh in, they would give you vitamin shots, they would give you vitamins, they would give you different types of diets to do. And that was another diet. It didn't work for me, but the one thing that I got from it was this protein hot chocolate that I absolutely love that you could buy there. And now I go online and I order it. It's
Mhm.
expensive, but it's so good. I mean, every
And you're
packet,
worth
it's
it.
little pack, exactly, package, 12 grams of protein. It was 2 points for Weight Watchers. All you have to do is add hot water. What I do is add hot water, a little bit of cinnamon, which I love, and a touch of half and half. And I use my frother, which I absolutely love. And I
Okay.
froth it up, and it's 12 grams of protein, and it's delicious.
Oh,
Mhm.
sounds
So that
delicious.
it is. I'll have to bring it for you guys to try. I think
Mhm.
Leah, your mom tried it.
Oh, my mom and I've tried it. It's delicious.
It's good,
My
right?
mom, well, actually, both of us, we put it in our coffee.
It's so good.
Mhm.
So it's like finding what you like
Right.
and what works for you.
Mm.
But if I'm low on protein that day, you know what? I'm gonna pop in a hot chocolate for dessert, and I feel like I get a sweet, but I'm getting protein with the sweet. And that
Mhm.
kind of brings me to another one of my rules, which I've been talking about for months, about the kitchen being closed at 5.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And that was a huge shift because, we eat at all different times of the day and night. But I'm like, you know what? It's that night eating, that night snacking that I'm going to bed and it's literally sticking to me.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you're working, how do
Yes.
you have kitchen closed at 5?
Well, the nice thing is I have a flexible schedule where I work.
Mm.
So I've kind of made my day from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay.
Okay.
Some people, work from 8:30 to 4:30, it's
Mhm.
anywhere in that window. And I've really kind of changed getting up earlier, starting my day at 7. I clock on at 7. So with that being said, being off at 3 is amazing.
Mhm.
I can exercise. I can eat dinner at 4.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I can do so many. I love my hours and I feel like you have to find what works for you.
Mhm.
So it
Do
makes it
uh,
easy to close. Yeah.
do
Mhm.
other people in your house eat dinner early too?
Sometimes, my husband does, he'll eat with me, but my kids have never been early eaters. So it's been a little staggered and they're
Mhm.
both in college now. So
Hmm.
it's not really noticeable, our differences.
Mhm.
They're far away. My son's in New York, my daughter's in London. My husband will eat early with me. He's not always hungry, and that's fine when I'm hungry.
Mhm.
I'm going to eat when I'm hungry.
Yay! I love that you said that because I
Yeah.
do. I feel like women, and I shouldn't generalize, but I think women we really just, well, all right, I'll eat when you eat.
Yes.
We want
We
to
want to
please
please
everybody.
everybody.
And I love that you're like, you don't have to eat right now. I'm hungry or I'm gonna eat or,
I'm going to eat when I'm hungry. I'm going to do what works for me. And that is such a mind shift.
Mm.
Instead of trying to build your whole schedule around other people, what they want, when they want. But I feel
Mhm.
like you have to do that to be successful.
Mhm. Well, what you did was you really paid attention to what you were eating and when you were eating before you started this closing your kitchen. You really realized, okay, all I'm doing is eating you didn't say this, I'm saying it. All I'm doing is eating crap or junk and it's
Yeah.
sticking to me. So
Yes.
this makes no sense to even have the kitchen. Like you did the thinking, the mental piece of it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You didn't just wake up and go, I'm going to close the kitchen at 5. You went, what am I eating after 5?
It's
What am I
nothing good.
doing? What, right.
It's
Well, I
popcorn.
think you've also had what 30 years of experience with weight loss to kind of
Mhm.
figure out what's going to work for
Definitely.
me and what's not. It's not like you overnight woke up and said, "Okay, I'm going to lose weight," and
Yeah.
here it's just everything's working. You had significant amount of time where you
Tons.
basically
Mhm.
did research.
And haven't
Tons
we
of
all?
failures that we've learned from.
Haven't we
Yes.
all? We just don't
Yes.
listen. Like you actually
Absolutely.
listened to yourself and you listened to all the knowledge you've had so that you can say, all right, I got to do this plan that works for me now.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Were there any other rules?
Um, I used to literally, it was like, do you want some coffee with your sugar? I used to
Oh,
load up my coffee with
Me
sugar. I used to love
too.
it. I used to love it. But now, like this coffee I have, there's no sugar in it and I don't miss it.
Wow.
So that was a big change.
Are you drinking black coffee?
No, I put half and I love half and half.
mhm.
Okay.
And
So
it's
you're,
point.
wait,
Yeah.
so this is actually an important question. You're not eliminating things.
No.
So you're still having a half and half. You're still having
Yes.
other treats in your day.
You still have birthday cake.
I still have classic syrup when I go to Starbucks and get my coffee, which I almost do every day. I
Oh,
have
so
a
you
little
don't
bit
get
of a
sugar-free
coffee.
syrup.
No, I get the classic. I'm like 2 pumps, 3 pump, whatever it is. I have a little bit.
Mhm.
When I make it at home, I don't add sugar, but it's part of my, it's part of my, I've really incorporated everything. I've just cut down a lot.
I love that you're telling us all that. I think that's so
That's,
important.
yes, it's mind blowing that you
Mhm.
didn't. Okay, what I see is this is for 50 years, you
Yeah.
were playing the game of let me cut out all these foods. I'm going to lose weight. And then when I get back on it, then I gain all the weight back. And we have all done that yo yo like crazy people. But you
Yes.
figured out basically you can track, have a little bit,
Yeah.
move a little bit.
Yeah.
And for you, that was what was working.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I
Yes.
know.
So another rule about movement was trying to get in, and in my head, I'm like, I want 80 minutes a day. I
What?
walked for hours in England. I walked for hours when I was in Europe.
Uh-huh.
So, and that I would always tell Leah, it could be broken up.
I was
You
just going to ask you that.
could
So
do
go
10
ahead.
minutes. I would squeeze in on a break from work and get on my treadmill for 10 minutes.
Mhm.
I would go to the park at 3 when I got off work and do a hike in the park. And that's kind of where the whole trifecta thing started. That
Okay,
my
tell us what that
idea,
is.
yes, trifecta is a word that I used when I was like, this is the absolute perfect day that I'm doing everything for myself that I need to do and that I feel great about.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the 3 things in my day which equal my trifecta. And when I started, it was getting a little bit of time on the treadmill. It was getting out to a park, in the summer when the weather was a little nicer, and getting in my hike, which I called my mental health hike, because just
Mhm.
breathing in the fresh air and
Mm-hmm.
looking at the trees and looking at a lake and all the beautiful parks in Ohio was
Mhm.
amazing for physical and mental health. And then I was also going to some exercise classes. So if I could get one of those classes in, those 3 things were like my trifecta. They were the perfect day. And I feel like that can change, that can be modified. You can turn it into whatever is the perfect day for you that
And
equals
you
like,
didn't do it
yes,
every day.
no, absolutely
That's
not. Yeah,
important to know, I
yes.
think. Yeah.
And it's changed. In the winter, I don't go to the park. I'm
Well,
not
yeah.
hiking in the freezing cold.
Right.
Also, like I love my drum fit classes. Like I went to T Flex up in Stowe for a while, and then my
Mhm.
schedule kind of changed, and that got really far. And then I went to Fit Camp in Ellet and did my drum classes, which I still do, which I love.
Mhm.
So it really is finding what you love and what you enjoy. When I go to a cardio drumming class, I literally feel like I just did a dance party for 50 minutes.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow.
Like I'm dancing, I'm having fun, I'm smiling, I'm hitting a drum really hard, which
Mhm.
is that's
She's
therapeutic.
broken many drums doing it.
Really?
I've broken a
Mhm.
few buckets.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I started in Hartville.
Wait, I want to go back to this though. You
Yeah,
do 80 minutes of activity a day, but it does not 80 minutes straight.
no, never. And it's a goal. I mean, it doesn't have to be 80 on the dot.
Right.
Life
Right.
happens, you know?
Mhm.
You
But
just
you
need
that's
movement of some kind.
Movement, any
right.
kind. So,
So
walking
10 minutes
around.
on the
Yeah.
treadmill and then maybe you go for a 10-minute walk or you
Mhm. If
yeah,
I get a
okay.
50-minute class in, it's great,
Yeah.
and even over the holidays, it was hectic. My kids were home, we were busy. I'm like, I'm just going to sneak away and I'm going to get a half a mile on the treadmill. And I did that 4 times a day. And I'm like, boom, that's 2 miles.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's 2 miles of movement. So whatever
Mhm.
you can do. And, once in a while, like my knee hurts or something. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take my speed down to the very lowest speed. And that's okay. You're moving.
Right.
Oh.
And that's
Right.
So
another that's good.
you're not using it as a like I would be like, "Oh, well, I can't exercise, my knee hurts." You just take it
Yeah,
down real slow.
real slow. And
Good for
like even when
you.
I'm in drum fit, there are some people that are really fit and they do these crazy, insane jumping jacks. And those kind of bother me. So I'm doing like a low jog. Like I'm modifying it to what feels good on my body that I know I'm not going to be in pain and pop something. So I feel like everything you do, it's important to make it fit you.
Mhm.
Yes. That's a great message.
Yeah.
That is a
Yeah.
great message. And I think the real takeaway from your story is that you haven't done anything crazy. You haven't done any drastic movements. I mean, like cutting out groups of food. You've enjoyed every experience you have, and you have a very positive direction you're working towards.
Mhm.
Thank
You
you.
eat out at restaurants.
Oh, New Year's Eve, we had the best meal at the Brazilian Steakhouse. I don't know if you guys have heard of that in
Hmm.
Mhm. I've heard
Woodmere.
of it. I haven't been there. Yeah.
Oh, I tried everything. I had a bite of everything. So I was definitely not depriving myself. And even though I don't eat a lot of sweets, they had fried bananas with cinnamon for dessert.
Oh,
Tasted
Oh.
tasted those. They were really good.
Wow. So
sounds
you're
good.
not yeah, you're still eating, you're still traveling, you're still enjoying things. You're
Yes.
okay, another question.
Love food.
Do you still have drinks, alcohol?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a
Mhm.
mojito last night. It
Okay.
was delicious.
Okay.
There was a Christmas pop-up bar in Cuyahoga Falls that was adorable. It
Mhm.
was like a tiki Christmas bar. I don't drink a lot, but
Mhm.
I taste. I'll have a half a drink and then I'm usually kind of full at that point. So I'm not a huge drinker and I make my husband drink it. I just give it all to him. But there's nothing that's off limits. There's nothing that
Okay.
I say I can't do it.
There's something that you mentioned in our last group that I wanted to touch on because I think it was a really important message. You had a revelation over the holidays about eating. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Not at all. My kids were home. It was very hectic. Everyone was trying to get presents for everyone. And, they came in from out of town and it was really last minute. And dinner kind of got put off. We were going here, we were going there. I've kind of trained my body to my routine. I have my dinner early. I feel
I
full
love that.
during the day because I get my protein drinks. We train our bodies.
Hmm.
And that didn't happen. And I kind of had a meltdown. Like I didn't feel good physically. I
Mhm.
didn't feel good mentally. Like I was emotional. I was stressed out. I kind of had a meltdown. I'm not going to lie. So I was like, okay, I mean, I know I'm not on my routine, but no matter what happens, I need to make my meals happen when I need them. Like I need to eat when I'm hungry. And it doesn't matter what else is going on, or kids, or holidays, or life, or stress. It's too important.
And you forgot the stopping part.
And then I also said, we need to stop eating when we're full.
Mhm.
because I feel like when we make a dish or we make a plate, we have it so ingrained in our mind, like I need to finish
Yes.
my plate. And halfway through, sometimes I'm eating a plate of food that's amazing that I've cooked, that I'm enjoying. I'm like, I'm not hungry anymore. Like,
Yeah.
even if there's a little left, even if there's a lot left, like, why am I eating this? Like,
Yeah.
stop when you're full. Eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, because you're just putting things in your body you're going to make yourself uncomfortable because
Mhm.
you know, and extra calories and extra points and extra weight. It's like, what is that for? Why do we do
Right.
that?
How close are you? And you don't have to answer this question, to your goal.
I don't really have like a number in mind that
Okay.
I have to be at.
I
It's
like
when
that.
I look how I want to look,
Mm-hmm.
I feel how I want to feel. I've spoken to my doctor and I really like him. And I said to him, I am never going to be that number on the chart that says my age
Right.
and my height and what I
Mhm.
should be. Like, it's just not me.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like I'm a lot heavier than people think I am. You know, we're all built differently. We
Right.
all have different bone structures and different weight. And I'm never going to be that number on the scale. And he said, Dayna, when you're comfortable where you want to be, let's have a conversation. And I'm going to say you're at your goal weight. Whatever you choose your goal weight, which I love. Like a doctor
Yeah.
saying, like, you can decide. So I definitely want to, in the next year, work on another at least 20 pounds to keep
Okay.
going. But like I said, I feel like that might change with time, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I like that. That's your answer. But I also want to say, I love that you said we train our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
We do.
That could be both ways.
Mhm.
Am I currently training my body to crave sugar?
I
Am I
was.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I need to like I love that like I wrote that down.
I
Yeah.
also like that you are enjoying the things that you're doing. And
Loving
when
it.
I asked you, you didn't say, you actually said it doesn't feel like work because you're having fun.
Mhm.
A lot of fun.
That's a really good takeaway from this.
Mhm.
Yeah. I also
Ah,
feel like something that is, I always keep in the back of my mind is no matter what you did the day before, what you ate, you feel like you went off track. Like every day is a new day. Like, don't regret it. Don't shame yourself. Don't
mhm,
beat yourself up about it. Like, that does nothing. Every day is
right.
a new day and a fresh start, and you can get back on where you want to be and you can go forward.
Mm.
And incredible.
I
We
know.
could just ask you more
I
and more
know.
questions.
What do you
We're
have something that you wanted to share that we didn't even ask you or get
that's
to?
what I was gonna ask you.
Yes, I
Okay.
wanted to say it's so important. I feel like on our health journeys and our weight loss journeys, that you think about it as a person and say, you know, what are my tool belt? You guys talk about this a lot. What are my guardrails? I always think about a bowling alley and having those guardrails up so you don't go way off the, into the gutter and you
Mhm.
stay on track. And those things for me, my weekly meetings, our CTA group, I love them.
Mhm.
They're great. We all share, we all talk about what we're going to work on, what we didn't do so well on, but we want to get better on. And
Mhm.
having that accountability with no judgment and having that safe space is huge. Having both you guys, I always tell you, you're my wellness angels
Mhm.
and I love you guys. Just being able to text you in the middle of the week and saying, I weighed in, this is where I was, or
Mhm.
this is what I did, or here's a picture. I hate pictures of my body, but here's a full body shot that I don't
Holy
hate.
moly. I don't know if you sent that to Comno. Wow. It was a
Yeah, I'm gonna post it with Dana's permission in our Wait What Facebook.
beautiful.
I sent her a
Awesome.
couple of before and afters,
Okay.
but here and up. But just being able to do that and having you guys be supportive and encouraging. I remember when I sent Kamna my weight when I had lost 60 pounds and I was so happy and excited. And Kamna said, oh my God, Dayna, that's life changing. And I was so happy that you said that. It made me think about it. And here I am at 110 now.
Oh,
So, just having your guardrails up of what helps you, you know, some people really kind of got into the Weight Watchers on Connect group, and people were great and supportive and encouraging. Having people that you go to that lift you up and support you and encourage you. And I feel like for me, staying away from people that are a little bit negative and can be toxic, it doesn't help for me. I
Right.
feel like that brings you down. So you need to look for those positive channels, those supportive, those encouraging, non-judgment. Just that having that safe space is really important to make your health journey successful, whatever your goals are.
So good.
It's very good. And I feel like I still have more questions for you, but we're out of time. So
We are already?
I
I know.
know.
It went so
Like
that-
fast.
That went really fast.
Well,
Wow.
I really appreciate your sharing your journey with us. I know it's not easy because you're basically exposing yourself and all your vulnerabilities, and
Mhm.
but you're inspiring people with all the steps you've taken to better your life and better your health.
Mhm.
It's just so motivating to me every time I hear you.
Oh,
Every
thank
time I see a text from Dayna, I'm like, oh yeah, my day's getting better right now. Like it's just amazing when you can see
Thank you.
that somebody's going to text you something that's just always positive and always
Yes.
uplifting and always just like so happy for you. Every single
Thank you,
text you have ever
guys.
sent me.
Well, thank you.
So
I appreciate you guys being that support and that constant, and my wellness angels.
we need
And it
like
helps me more than
shirts
you.
or wings.
Yeah, you need a shirt that says wellness angel, because it's true. Just having that, kind of encouragement is so helpful on this journey.
Thank you,
Thank you
Dayna.
so much for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, we
Very
appreciate you so
welcome. My
much.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now everybody's going to want to be in your call to action group.
We have a great group, but I'm
We
sure
do.
they're all great, I'm sure.
Yeah. So
All
have a
right.
great week.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys. Have a great week.